13 signings through the door already, but on this gloriously sunny transfer deadline day, who's going out and who's coming in? Good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on whenever you're watching this. My name is Harvey Bell, an Ipswich Town supporting content creator on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do enjoy today's video, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video down below. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm not trying to start any rumours. I'm pretty much just regurgitating what is already out there and just giving my opinions on those. So I'm not trying to leak anything that the club may be up to today, purely just speculating on what is already out there. And we're going to start by looking at who could be going out. We'll get onto the transfers possibly coming in just a moment, but let's look at who could be leaving the club. And the most likely name to be leaving the club at the minute is Freddie Ladapo. Where he's going, we don't know yet, but we know Town are in the market for another striker, having already signed Liam Delap. It's being reported that George Hurst could potentially be back sooner than expected. Freddie Ladapo was always going to struggle for game time this year. He's been a terrific servant to the club, scored over 30 goals for the club since he signed 2 summers ago. So I'm sure he will leave the club with the best wishes, but it's widely expected that he is going to be moving on today. Where, we don't know, potentially the club paying up his contract, but we'll see throughout the day. But it does look like Freddie Ladapo is going to be moving on. Potentially joining him is George Edmondson. Now, I don't think this comes as a massive surprise to anybody. We saw, obviously, at Manchester City away last week, he was brought on with a couple of minutes to go. Some people saying that was just because he was a Manchester City fan and just to give him his Premier League debut. Others saying that it was a good buy. Of course, we've signed Dara O'Shea and Jacob Greaves this window. So 2 new centre-backs through the door. We have played with a back 3 centre-backs this season so far. We've got 6 centre-backs, including George Edmondson. If we did stick with 3 at the back, then potentially that means that George Edmondson could be needed this summer. If we go with 2 at the back, then it probably means we've got too many. But generally speaking, I think the wide consensus is that George Edmondson could be leaving today. Middlesbrough are said to be leading the chase at the minute, but a lot of Championship clubs remain interested, likes of Watford, the likes of Millwall, all coming in with interest. It looks like George Edmondson is probably going to be going. Again, another player who's been a big part of our success over the last couple of seasons, and I'm sure will leave the very best wishes from Ipswich Town fans. Then we've got a couple of players who maybe will go, maybe won't go, but potentially out on loan is Marcus Harness and Jack Taylor. Some people are saying these are 2 players that were obviously here last year. Harness was there the season before, appeared sporadically in their time, both scored goals, both, been key parts of our promotions over the last couple of seasons, been really effective in what they've done, but ultimately, with the club having gone up to the Premier League again, going to struggle for game time. So it is being reported that those 2 could potentially be going out on loan if the right offer does come in. But we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't think these 2 are the case of needing to go out as such. I think it's very much a case of if the right offer comes in, then the club will perhaps listen to it, which I think is the right thing. We're not in a position where we need to be selling players or loaning players out, but if the right deal comes in, then why wouldn't you take it? But Marcus Harness, Jack Taylor, 2 players again that have made a big impression on Ipswich Town fans, and ultimately, as an Ipswich Town fan, now that we're in the Premier League and we're hopefully going to challenge, if there are players that are around the periphery who aren't going to get as many minutes, I would quite like to see them do well elsewhere. Hopefully, I just want the best for them, if you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say that they've been a big part in giving us terrific memories over the last few seasons. Freddie Ladapo, George Edmondson, Jack Taylor, Marcus Harness. If this is to be their last day at the club, then I really hope that they go on to enjoy their football and have every success at their next club. But those are the potential outgoings at the minute. Let's move on to the potential incomings. And we've got 12 through the door already. It does seem like there's going to be one more, and it's going to be a striker. Now, already linked is Burnley's Lyle Foster. We have Kevin Denke from Cercle Bruges, and we have Armando Broja from Chelsea. But that deal is now off. Of course, we've been talking about it for the last few weeks. I said in the other day's video that I was bored of talking about it. We'll talk about it one last time. That deal is completely off. Of course, Town did agree a deal with Chelsea, but due to injury, on the player. Town weren't willing to take the risk on the potential 30 million buyout clause at the end of the season. So Armando Brea will not be joining Ipswich Town, or certainly that is what is being reported. Lyle Foster, again, another player that's been linked across the last week or so. Nobody was particularly excited about this signing. No disrespect to the player, because as I said before, who am I to sit here and judge a player that has played in the top flight? But I didn't feel like he was going to be the best fit for Ipswich personally. It doesn't look like that one's going to be happening either. It doesn't look like Ipswich could agree a deal with Burnley that both clubs were happy with. So that deal doesn't look like it's going to be happening. Kevin Denke, then, another player that was linked. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. It's all gone very quiet, so we'll have to wait and see if anything more of that comes. But at the minute, it is not looking like that one is going to get over the line, or at least nowhere is reporting that that deal is going to get done. So where does that leave us in terms of needing a new striker? Well, it's being reported, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that George Hurst could be returning to injury as soon as Monday, which is much quicker than anticipated. Would that end Ipswich Town's search for another striker? I don't think it would. I think they'd still remain in the market for another striker. And it's being reported that Town have 2 names on their list that haven't been named, that haven't been reported on. 2 players that we don't know about that Town have been working on a deal to sign. We're going to get one of them, hopefully, but we'll have to wait and see who they are. I wish I could say more. I wish I could tell you who they are, but I don't know, sadly. But that's what those were the days reporting, that 2 unspecified players could potentially be Ipswich Town's new striker come the end of the day. Whatever happens, I think it's been a particularly exciting window. There is the question of if we have signed too many players. Of course, it's always going to be difficult when you've gone up to try and keep the happiness amongst everyone, because you're effectively disbanding the band of brothers that got you up. But it's a brutal game, is football. Mark Ashton has said many times, what got us here won't necessarily get us there. I think the players understand that, but is too much change too much? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, that remains to be seen, really. We've got lots of players to settle in. We'll see how they adapt. Of course, some big names coming in this summer. Calvin Phillips, the biggest by a long way. Jack Clark, one of the best players in the Championship last season. Sammy Schmodik's the Championship top goal scorer. You know, there's been some real smart acquisitions across the last couple of months. And I'm personally happy with our transfer business. Of course, we've said goodbye to some players. These players have been here and, you know, done it across a couple of seasons, and they've been a big part of where we've got to. So it's sad to see them go, but ultimately exciting to see new players come in as well. And I think across the next few hours and up until the deadline, we might have sort of one more final surprise. Let's wait and see who that is. Let's wait and see who we get linked with. But it's been really good to be able to bring you these videos. Thanks for all your support across the last couple of months on the channel. It's made it worth doing these videos, and all of your interactions and your comments and your likes. It makes it all worth doing. So thank you very much. And until next time, which will be after the transfer window, and we'll hopefully be sat here talking about another striker and 3 points against Fulham, I'll see you in the next one.